I used to be a perfectionist, but it actually made me worse. You see, my whole life I've wanted to do things almost perfectly, never make any mistakes. I remember going up to the school presentation and I was going to make one, and as I'm trying to speak out my words, the more I focused on being perfect, the more mistakes I made. So actually, I think that the problem was that trying to be perfect had the opposite effect. My whole life I thought that making mistakes is such a bad thing, because when we're in school we're taught that making mistakes is bad. You know, when you're going up to a test in school and then you have to do well on the test without making any mistakes to get the best grade. And so, naturally I thought, okay, I'm never going to make any mistakes. I'm just going to do everything perfectly, not focus on making any mistakes, because then it's bad and the whole thing will be bad. And so one thing that I realized was that, for example, when I started my YouTube channel, I wanted to really become a YouTuber to acquire freedom for myself and for my mother, who would work this goddamn flight, who would work all day, exhausted. And even in my YouTube business, I would, you know, just edit, and then I'm editing there, and then I'm like, no, this is bad. I need to go back and make this perfect. Okay, now this section is bad. Okay, now I need to fix that. Okay, now the whole video is perfect. I go to render the video, I finish up the video, and guess what? After I watch the video, after it's finished, there are so many mistakes. But then what happened was, throughout, even after I dropped out of high school for YouTube, I was just such a perfectionist. I had an editor, but I realized that, he didn't make things perfect. So I was actually, when my editor had sent me the video file for me to review, then when I reviewed it, I spent as much time as if I were to have edited the video myself. And so now I'm editing the video perfectly according to me, fixing it up according to how it should be. And then I realized, what am I doing? Who will notice these little mistakes? And of course, if you're a doctor, you kind of have to be a perfectionist or the patient dies. But one thing that I've realized is that, for example, I was going to start driving, taking my driving lessons and try to get a driver's license. And so the first time I'm trying to drive, I'm literally so focused on not making mistakes, that I'm gripping the wheel and I'm just looking in front, trying not to make any mistakes. And unconsciously, I'm missing traffic signs there. I'm missing the road signs there. I'm supposed to stop here. The instructor literally had to stop me. He put his foot on the brakes, and he did it in a calm manner, of course. And he said, "No, you need to stop here." And I'm like, oh yes. It's like I'm too focused and I'm too caught up on not trying to make a mistake that I end up doing it anyways. And so I realized the more I focus on trying to be perfect and the more I focus on what I don't want, which in this case is making mistakes, the more I actually do it. Whereas I think once I started focusing on doing my best in the driving lessons, once I got the confidence to look at it from a perspective of I'm going to do the best and I'm not going to make any mistakes, then I actually made less mistakes and I was detached from, not unfocused, but focused on the positive rather than the negative outcome. And one thing that I noticed is that, for example, even when I'm communicating somewhere, nowadays I make so many mistakes. And for example, I was talking to a cashier at a grocery store, and as I come up there, she tells me the price and everything, and then I said, "Oh, thank you. I messed up my words," something like that. But then I just realized I made a mistake. So what? It's not like I have to be a perfect communicator in order to get her to understand me. It's not like being perfect or not being perfect would have made her disliked me more. Actually, I think it's more human to make mistakes than it is not to make mistakes. For example, when I was dancing, I was in South Africa, and there came up this group of people from a local tribe, and they had these local folk dances and songs, and it was so captivating. I had to go up and I had to dance, you know? And so I went up there. I didn't care what anybody thought. I didn't care if I wanted to, I didn't care about the mistakes. I didn't care about the outcome. I just walked up and I let myself go, and I literally just focused on the moment. And you know what happened? I actually danced pretty damn well. People complimented me on my dancing. They were like, because I was copying the dancing moves, and I'm just jamming. I'm just jamming. And I think that the core realization that I had after all these years of trying to be perfect and now switching to doing things, not looking at the outcome of not making mistakes, and instead just looking for the positive things. And if there's mistakes, then so what? Unless it's life-threatening. The realization that I had is that the more I tried to be perfect, the less perfect I ended up being. And the more I focused on not being perfect, the more perfect I was. So I really think that the lesson is that no matter what it is in life, it will take way more time to make things perfectly. So unless it's like a doctor where you have to be perfect, then of course you can just, even if it's 98% well, it doesn't have to be 100% if it means spending 50% more time. And having the mindset of just living life how it is, you know, flowing through the mistakes, and just forgiving yourself when you make a mistake. You don't, for example, I am playing the piano, and as I'm playing the piano in public, I make a lot of mistakes. And nowadays, instead of, apologizing to the people, stopping and saying, I made a mistake, let me go back and play, all I do is I let go of the mistake and I keep on playing. I keep on playing the notes. Okay, the piece wasn't played perfectly, but the people are still impressed. The people don't really care because generally the piece was good. Because before, what I would do is I would play on the piano, and as my notes are hitting the keys, my fingers are sweating. I'm literally hunkered down and I'm trying not to make any mistakes. I think to myself, but so what? This is going to be a little bit deeper, but there is a thing called disinhibition and inhibition. The more you focus on something, the more inhibition you have. But when you're just in the flow and you let your brain take over, you do it subconsciously, because when you play the piano, you play it by heart. The more I focus on playing each individual note, the more my brain has to focus and the more mistakes I make. Whereas I realize that the more disinhibition that I practice, the more I just let go and don't focus on the keys. I just generally look over where my hands are going. I'm just flowing through and I'm making less mistakes. The less focused I am on hitting the right keys and just let it up to my unconscious mind, the more I just kept on playing it right. And of course, this is different from the piano and from something else which requires more focus. But now when I'm editing my videos as well, I'm just in the flow. I'm not individually looking through each and every frame. I'm just relaxing. So I think it's very important to practice disinhibition, practice the mindset of not having to be perfect all the time, unless you're a doctor, of course, trying to save lives. You know, because life is full of ups and downs. There are high notes and there are low notes, and in order for you to enjoy the high notes, you need to let the low notes, you need to let them happen. In order for there to be success, there must be failure. In order for there not to be mistakes, or yeah, in order for there not to be mistakes, there have to be mistakes. And mistakes is the only way you learn, through feedback. And so I think learning to live with it and learning to accept it and learning about how to deal with mistakes will make you less perfectionist and will actually make you more perfect. And so, yeah, I'm just flowing with life, doing my best and trying my best to make mistakes. Trying my best to make mistakes. Anyhow, I'm going to go to a photo shoot now, but I will see you and you must have a great day.